The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Monday, March 30th. It's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry and I shall be your host for today. Today is going to be an open line Monday. That means you can call in and talk about what you want to talk about, what is trending in the news and what is trending on social media. But of course, like usual, I always have one or two things I want to push in the for the conversation. Before I start, I want to extend condolences to the Culmer family. One of the matriarchs of the Hannah Hasty Tynes family, Miss Esther Culmer, has transitioned. It's definitely a blow for the HHT family because she's very instrumental in planning and organizing the various family reunion. I just want to extend my regards and condolences to her immediate family and her friends, and also the entire Hannah Hasty Tynes family. Also, I want to extend birthday greetings to one Kermit. Kermit, happy birthday. How old are you? 60? 61, you said? Okay. Kermit is celebrating his birthday. He's 61 years old. So you can call... You can call it into the studio and wish him regards, to have a very happy birthday. 61 years of living on this. Kermit's 61, Siobhan. Yeah. Yeah. You're older than Kermit, Siobhan? And Kermit's 61. How old are you, Siobhan? Siobhan say, that's Siobhan Moss. She's like 63. And I'm not sure when her birthday is. But the numbers to call today are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. And if you're calling from the Family Islands, it's 242-300-5720. And of course, the text line is 422-4796. On Friday, I had a discussion about what are we prepared to do as an independent country as we watch our immediate neighbors go through some trying times. And I came across a letter. It's a letter to the editor I want to read into the record. I think it's a response to the conversation that we were having on Friday. So I wanted to read that to hear what the listening audience have to say. Then I have a response also from Caracom, similar to what I was talking about on Friday. But I want to put these into the record for those who listen to the show or who want to go back and listen to Friday's show. They're uploading it now, in fact. We can juxtapose this information to that conversation that we had. Just bring up this particular letter to the editor. And like I said, I want you to call in and tell me what you think. Let me just bring this up right now. The letter is not necessarily long, but it's wordy, but I'm going to read it all the same. It says, "Dear editor, we beg to disagree with anyone in this country who believes that the Bahamas should have any publicly expressed opinion on the latest war being waged in Iran, save and accept to say we wish a speedy end to the conflict and the minimal loss of life. For those who mistakenly think our proclaimed moral underpinning gives us the right to make any pronouncements about the bombing of Iran by the United States and Israel, one of the most bellicose nations on earth, don't fool yourselves. Understand that we are a very small fish, a pilcher in a big world pond, with the shark next door showing no compunction in destroying our way of life at the drop of a hat if it wakes up on the wrong side of the shoal. We have seen no evidence in our 7 decades of this earth that Bahamians have the stomach to withstand the deprivation suffered by our neighbor to the south, Cuba, for the past 60 plus years, added to what they are being brought to today. Besides, we couldn't bear the thought of losing our most treasured pre-clearance facility. We compare the situation in the Western Asia to a tar baby experience. There is no way to touch it without being tarnished by its ungodly beginnings and the profoundly immoral and wicked forces that drive so much of the activities in that region. We refer any hardy soul to the years of 1948 in the case of Israel and 1953 in the case of Iran as points of reference for your own edification. They should lead you to some serious soul searching about why those countries find themselves in their present situation. Our unsolicited advice to those wise Bahamian men and women is to focus their efforts at addressing the many challenges that continue to stretch the national fabric of our Bahamas almost to the breaking point. Challenges such as the odor of corruption that is never far from the surface in an endeavor in this country. Politics and private sector. Political leaders who have lost the trust of the people, including a government that willfully ignores laws and refuses to be transparent in its dealings. Law enforcement organizations such as police, force, and almost daily stubbornly resist any attempt to appear clean, honest, and above board, and prison officers who shoot dogs in broad daylight for no apparent reason. Our defense force officers who are no paragon of virtue, either with so many of them indulging in behavior that does not fit the Marine Code. While we can chew gum and walk at the same time, Israel and Iran are pieces of gum we suggest Bahamians could do without chewing. The inevitable fallout from the tragedy unfolding in Iran will reach our shores soon enough. High gas prices and the eventual price increases of other consumer goods, among other things. Let's do our best to prepare for that. So I want to read that in the record because I posted that also onto my social media account, and there were a number of responses, and I wanted to read one or two of those responses because a number of people who follow me disagree vehemently with that letter to the editor. And I wanted to read some of those commentaries into the record also. Then I wanted to read something from CARICOM also into the record, so to have something that we can discuss either now or in the immediate future. Okay, let me see if I can find. Okay, I'm on it now. Let's read. So this texter or commenter said, and this I can wholeheartedly agree with, making plenty sense. And this texter commenter said, this is an unfortunate truth. We do not have the capacity to play with the big kids. Then this responder said, respectfully, small nations do not lose their moral voice simply because they are small. The Bahamas does not become wiser, safer, or more sovereign by remaining silent in the face of war, civilian suffering, and the violation of international norms. A country can condemn violence, call for restraint, and affirm the value of human life without pretending to be a superpower. Silence is not realism when it serves as an excuse for moral invasion. If anything, small states should be among the strongest defenders of law, peace, restraint, because we understand vulnerability better than most. While the Bahamas faces serious domestic issues that require urgent attention, it is not necessary to remain silent abroad. We can condemn corruption in the Bahamas and denounce bloodshed in the Middle East simultaneously. Moral consistency is not hypocrisy. It is the standard we should uphold. The choice is not between addressing the issues in the Bahamas and speaking out with principle. A responsible nation must do both. Then this texter says, they have no more or less moral wickedness than we do. The difference is they have oil and courage. One suspects if Trump marches in and says the U.S. owns the rest of the Bahamas, as we don't seem to need it, some Bahamians would run on their tongues to register for new passports. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. Swelling one's tongue and crawling on to one's belly to be avoided is not living, right? This texter says, that's a long text, man. Let's see. With respect to the position, mistakes caution for wisdom and silence for safety. A small state does not protect itself by silence. A small state protects itself by clarity. To say the Bahamas should have no voice is to misunderstand the nature of sovereignty. Sovereignty is measured by size. Sovereignty is not measured by size. It is measured by whether a state can articulate its position on questions of law, legitimacy, and international order. Silence in the face of war is not neutrality. Silence is acceptance. We are not being asked to deploy troops. We are being asked whether we recognize lawful conduct, unlawful conduct, proportionality, and basic norms that governs international relations. Those are not optional questions. The same constitutional principles that govern us internally, legality, accountability, restraint of power, do not stop at our borders. If we refuse to speak on them abroad, we weaken them at home. Yes, we are a small state. Yes, we must be prudent. Yes, we must prepare for economic fallout. But prudence is not the same as silence. The Caribbean has never been voiceless. From anti-colonial struggles into the non-aligned movements, small states have shaped international discourse precisely because they understood that legitimacy is their greatest protection. If we reduce ourselves to pilcher in the pond, we surrender that protection involuntarily. If we reduce ourselves to a pilcher in the pond, we surrender that protection voluntarily. The better position is this: speak carefully, speak lawfully, speak with principle, but speak, because a nation that cannot articulate its position on the use of force abroad will eventually struggle to defend the rule of law at home. So those are some of the commentary based on that letter to the editor. I want to say, what says you regarding that, and what should we be doing? But let me read this before I go to the call. And call, I do see you. Just give me 1 second to read this note from CARICOM quickly, because I want to know if the Bahamas is on the same bandwagon, will be doing the same thing. So South relations. CARICOM governments are preparing to dispatch humanitarian aid to Cuba, following a decision announced by CARICOM chairman, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, at the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Head of Government held in St. Kitts and Nevis on the 24th of February to 27, 2026. The humanitarian effort is being coordinated by CARICOM Secretariat, headquartered in Georgetown, Guyana. Items such as powdered milk, including baby formula, non-perishable such as beans, wheat, flour, rice, and canned goods, basic medical supplies, solar panels, batteries, and water tanks will be purchased on behalf of member states and shipped to Cuba. CARICOM initiative is supported by the government of Mexico, which has identified suppliers in Mexico able to deliver the items to the port of departure and will provide free shipment from Mexico to Cuba. And that is from the CARICOM.org site, just in case you want to check that article out. I see we have some callers on the line, and I see I have some text to read. Let's go to the caller. Go ahead, caller. You're live. Guardian Radio AM. Turn down the radio and you go.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, I want to put it like this. You know, we sympathize with Cuba. I'm a big Trump supporter, but I don't know about this one, because Cuba isn't really bombing no one. Cuba is just trying to survive the many sanctions that have been imposed on them over a period of time. But it seems as if that those Cubans, those free Cubans like Rubio, those who have benefited, whose parents and grandparents have benefited from the revolution, because when you're talking free healthcare and free education, voices what we have in this democracy, they are the two most expensive commodities. And Cuba provides them to their citizens free. But I believe, the president is off on this one. I really believe that, But what can we do as a country, a small island state? We can't really do nothing.
But that's the question I want to ask today. The CARICOM gave us a list of things that we can do. He said donate
I
to their
believe
effort.
that they need to, those leaders need to find something constructive to do, because most of their countries, when you look at these countries, from these third world countries, from CARICOM, a lot of their dollar don't value anything. So what do they have to do?
Let me pause you there. Some of the Caribbean nations' economy is larger than ours, right? They have more people, they spend more money, even though the dollar value is, the purchasing power is not as strong as the Bahamas. The economy is bigger than ours. They have Haiti has more millionaires, maybe by tenfold in contrast to the Bahamas.
Like 400,000.
Yeah, but
like 400,000 millionaires.
Yes, but see, that my point is they have money to do things. My question is the Bahamas. What should the Bahamas be doing? Can we lend or render support to Cuba? What should we be doing? Should we stand out and say, well, Cuba, y'all on your own? Or can we send some solar equipment? Can we send some baby items for the children?
Permission first.
Permission from whom?
The same people who we have to get permission from to get the doctors, to get the nurses. Same people. You have to understand, when you look at, and I know these callers will say Cleaver Brown notion, but I'm looking at common sense. I'm using common sense and intelligence, and I'm looking at the size of that U.S. embassy downtown. You see the size of that?
I see the size of it.
That the U.S. has a bigger presence in the Bahamas than our government has within this country. You agree with that?
No.
No?
No.
Where's the Prime Minister's office?
The Prime Minister's office near the big hotel out west.
No, it's in a 50-year swamp. That used to be the Northwest building.
But nothing
That's
wrong.
over 50, 60 years old, the building.
The whole entire Dutch-speaking countries, Sweden, and the entire country's a swamp. That doesn't say anything.
No,
They
but
first
I'm
world.
saying to you, you remember the Cecil Wallace building?
Yes.
That was built brand new. We've had two prime ministers who agreed with a foreign investor to blow it up. You remember that, right?
Tell me about
But
it.
for radio's sake, I'll say implode then. They imploded. They implode the prime minister office to accommodate a private development. That doesn't happen in real countries. You could imagine you go into Washington negotiating a deal and asking and telling the U.S. president that in order to accommodate this deal, you got to blow up your office, blow up the White House,
But we
and
got
build it around the corner, or use a 50-year-old building.
the prime ministers. The prime ministers at the time saw the benefit of it. They said, you know what?
However you do it,
We can get
you don't blow up
twice
your building.
as much.
You don't blow up. You don't ask no. Foreign investors supposed to come into no country and ask no prime minister to remove their office.
They said
to accommodate
they
their
didn't
development.
ask them. They said to consider it, and the prime minister considered
Maybe
it.
I don't know what they did. They made a demand. I don't know what it is.
made an
Because we were hot for
executive
that.
decision.
We were desperate for that Bahamas project.
And the whole country benefit from it.
Well, I mean, that's debatable, But my point is the way we have constructed this country, and the way we have given up a lot of our sovereignty and our minerals, etc., our resources. Even, when you look at molten salt, even though the salt comes from the Bahamas, it's more expensive than imported salt. These are the type of nonsense that we did over the years. But the Bahamas is in no position, based on the size of that embassy, to dictate or to even, we have to take directives and take instruction. And you saw Dr. Darwell, we saw it play it out, CA, with the nurses. Did we ever get permission to hire those nurses?
It's still pending.
I don't know, we're still waiting on instruction.
And the response. Not instruction, a
but
response.
this is where we are 52 years later. You see the U.S. They love third world corrupt countries like the Bahamas.
We are
They
not
love
third world, and we're not corrupt. We're a developing nation,
You
and
can-
we're developing nation issues like
So
every
you could call
country
it-
that has is
look
a developing nation.
look at healthcare in the Bahamas and see if anything developing about that.
Our healthcare is adequate based on our size. We are actually one of the premier.
Adequate for who?
We are one of the premier institutions in this region.
I mean, I know you're being sarcastic, right? But you can't be serious.
I can
Because
find
we
countries
could take-
in this region.
we could do a tour.
I even can find hospitals within the United States that our hospital is superior than.
We could do a tour of PMH. The media could do a tour. That's what the media need to do. Go do a tour, and then you come back and see your love. You may see plenty loved ones sitting on laying on gurneys. But my only point is, CA, we in no position. Be in no position to dictate or to negotiate. See, because most of these Caribbean countries, they're depending on the U.S. We're depending heavily on tourism. We're depending heavily on a lot of things, military, everything. The U.S. own us. You have to accept that. Now, I don't know how we're going to negotiate out of it, but they own us. They control the Bahamas. And that embassy is a classic example of who controls what. This is where our leaders put us 52 years later. So we don't have any negotiating power. We have to take instructions. And whatever instructions we are given to, we're going to carry it out. You see what happened with the superintendent the other day? They wanted swift justice in record-setting time. A senior police officer was charged in 3 days. That don't happen. That don't happen. You know that?
I appreciate you.
All right, sir.
Clever. I disagree with you with most of the points, but I appreciate what you're saying. Let's go to the next caller. Next caller there, Kermit. Guardian Radio AM, you're live.
Hello?
Turn down that radio, and I'm willing to speak to you.
Sorry, you hear me?
No, man, I can hear you. Good, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. What about our students in Cuba? Are they back yet, or are they still over there suffering? And what about the prisoners? I think Cuba let out some prisoners. Did they let out any Bahamian prisoners?
I do not know what has happened,
students
and
in
it's a good question regarding the students. You know, when we had a hurricane in Jamaica, our government go and pick up our students and bring them home.
Yeah.
There is some hardships happening in.
What is the ambassador saying? Robin still over there?
I do not know.
Ellison Romney over there?
But
without the light on?
The good thing is that Cuba's airport is still open.
Open.
Our students have round trip tickets that they can return home at a drop of the hat.
Okay.
So if they have decided not to return home, that means they decided to go through whatever struggles
So tell me
the Cuban
something.
people are going through.
Did you follow the weekend? They think they had some rallies all over the world talking about no king, talking about Donald Trump abusing his powers. Did you follow that?
No, I haven't been following, but they've been protesting against Donald Trump.
No,
for a while.
nowhere in the Caribbean do that though.
Not that I know of.
Huh?
Not that I know of.
No, I don't think so. These people get plenty sense. Tell me something. People like, I don't want to say people like you, but you pushing it, right? And I don't know who given the papers and different things and what you're talking about. What y'all want from us? What y'all want us to do? I mean, we's a Christian. We say we's a Christian nation. I think we continue to pray for Cuba, Iran, and everywhere else. But what y'all want from us? Y'all don't understand that Donald Trump ain't no normal president. You see, he don't have a problem with using his big stick even on his friends or anybody. Do you think we need to go through that? Let's continue to pray for them. Let's pray for Cuba. Let's help them in any which we can help. But don't fly. Don't let's.
Before you go, I
Yes.
want you to answer this. There's a biblical quote that says, "Faith without works is dead."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That meaning, don't be dumb. Don't do nothing to cause the Bahamian people have to suffer because Donald Trump ain't no normal person. And help Cuba as much as you could help them and pray for them. Pray for them, and they must do their works and maybe pray to the same God we pray into to see if they could help. I don't know what y'all expect was, but y'all ain't want to mess with Donald Trump. You know. That man ain't no normal president. I support him too. I don't like what's going on with Cuba. But we got to be careful with the Bahamas. What we could do, invite them over here to do some farming or something, or allow them to do some things them with us. Yeah, we care about them. We care about Haiti too. But look at what you say, millionaires in Haiti and stuff. Why they don't help themselves Why they don't help their own people and stuff doing foolishness? What you all expect from the Bahamas, man? All we could do is pray for them and give them whatever we could give them, but don't give them what GOP, what politics and all of this foolishness, no, boy.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Let's go to the next caller so I can go read some of these texts. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM, you live. Caller, you there? You hang up already? Call back, caller. Call back. The text says, this man ain't lie. We would need permission from the U.S. first. This next text says, the term developing country is the new term for third world. And this next text says, yes, proper response is on point. Let's go to the next text. It says, he, in quotes, agrees on aid to Cuba. Where was clever when the world was reporting that dismantling of the USAID was killing the thousands of children in Africa and Asia? I agree with aid to Cuba as well, but open your eyes to worldwide damage. The Philippines is reporting oil shortages today. Europe is signaling they may experience the same. What will Clever do in the Bahamian summer where there is scarce supplies of world oil to be bought? I tell everyone, go buy gas today. And if there's a mad dash and people ask, why are you buying gas? Say, CA Newry, say, go buy gas today. It's better to buy it today than buy it tomorrow. Go buy the gas today. That's what I read in the tea leaves. If the Prime Minister can read tea leaves, I can read tea leaves. All of us know how to do magic. Let's go to the callers there. Guardian Radio AM. Go ahead, caller. You're live. Caller, you there?
Hey, good day, Cecil. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Listen, that's a good call from from Papa, right? Mm-hmm. There are certain. Can you hear me, see it?
Loud and clear. I'm just listening.
Okay, there are certain realities that it's just no way of getting around, my brother. You know, it's just no way of getting around. Here we have on the world stage, we have a situation where the war with Iran, right, is causing the cost of pretty much everyday living, of just being alive, to increase, right? Multifold, right? And it will continue to increase. Who can do anything about that? Who can tell the United States of America to stop and to stop right now? No other nation on the planet has the power, the military might, the economic might, to do so. So what are we talking about here in the Bahamas? We don't even have the army to march one of their platoons. What are we talking about here in the Bahamas? Are we serious? Are we joking? Or we just like to call the airwaves and beat up our gum, talking a bunch of nonsense? Huh? We want everybody to be where in the country, right here in the Bahamas. We want everybody in the Bahamas to think like us and be where we are. It don't work that way. Even in our own country.
Do you follow Mia Motley? Do you follow Mia Motley?
Say it again?
Do you follow Mia Motley?
Yes.
She speaks out. Do you believe our do we have any equivalent in the Bahamas who can speak out as well?
Listen, it's one thing, as I said before, right? It's one thing to speak out, right? And it's one thing to speak out and to be able to move the pendulum in the right direction when you're speaking out. Mia Motley speaking out. What direction has the pendulum moved in? Tell me, CA.
The point is she's speaking out. Is the voice?
Tell me. Understand the point that I'm making.
No, I heard the point, and I acknowledge the point. I'm saying that does it take any away from us
on the planet? ACA?
United States.
Who are our biggest trading partners on the planet?
United States, of course.
Okay, where do most of the tourists come from that support our industries in this country?
United States, of course.
Where are most of the food imports coming from that we eat in our country?
The United States, of course.
Where do most of our children go, or adults go?
I see where you go into
healthcare and university access, etc.
But my question to you is: does that stop us from speaking out or voicing opinion?
Of course, it does not, and that's the thing. CCA, there's a channel for speaking out, not getting in the street like some hoodlum or someone who's senseless. There are diplomatic channels with which the Bahamas uses in order to be effective in our speaking out while protecting our sovereignty at the same time.
And my next question to you is: Would you support our government sending aid and supplies to Cuba?
Of course, by 1,000%. Wherever there is suffering, especially with an ally of the Bahamas, once we can provide some level of relief and do that through diplomatic channels that does not impact on our country and our people negatively, 1,000%. 1,000%, Cecil, because you cannot watch human suffering and be okay with that, especially if they're in your backyard, right? So close as Cuba is to us, especially if you are allies, right, as Cuba is to the Bahamas, and not do whatever you can through the right channels to provide that aid that is necessary to bring relief to the Cuban people. That's the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do, right? But there's a right way to go about doing that. You understand what I'm saying, Caesar?
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you for that.
And the way to go about doing that ain't getting on the airwaves and sounding off like no maniac. That ain't gonna get you the result. Have you ever heard the term don't wake the lion? Have you ever heard that term?
Yeah.
Or don't wake up the bear?
Don't poke the bear.
Have you ever heard those terms, Caesar?
I heard the term "don't poke the bear." Yes, definitely.
Don't poke the bear. Don't wake the bear. Don't frustrate the bear or the lion, right? There's a way to go about doing it and still maintain yourself and your people in the process. And when you are the prime minister of a nation, you have the responsibility to think at the highest levels, not to think at the mediocre level. But when you are at that level, you ain't playing no checkers. You ain't playing no everyday game with people's lives, right? You have people's lives within every decision that you make, especially on the international scene. And so you have to do that with grace, humility, and responsibility. Grace, humility, and responsibility. And as Papa would have said, right? Listen, the U.S. is quite aware of the impact that the high price of oil will have on the rest of the planet, right? And how it will also impact their own country, right? And so they're doing what they have to do slowly, but certainly surely, to mitigate those costs, right? And mitigate those risks, right? Because it doesn't make sense you being a superpower and everybody else around you in poverty. You will lose that super might very shortly thereafter, because everybody will be coming after you. That's the reality of the world and survival. However, if you see they have that situation over there and they're trying to bring relief, right? But you see in their own backyard, there's a small country that they consider to be an enemy of their state, right? Because of the geopolitics and the support and all that kind of stuff and the risk, right? And if you say they are bringing damage to that country, what do you think they would do to Bahamas if you get involved and get that way?
I appreciate you.
This thing go with sense. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, of course.
Continue the good conversation and good work.
Yes,
God
of course.
bless.
Thanks very much. During the weekend, there's a lot of complaints. A number of voters are saying they've been waiting hours. When I said waiting hours, they reached the mall 10 o'clock and 5 o'clock. They're still waiting to get their voters' card, still waiting to get it written up, whatever it is. And of course, with the proroguing of the House, there's a mass dash. There's some excitement happening where a number of Bahamians are trying to register, which that's why they say go register now. So they expected this number. A number of people are making jeers, and that's what happens when you wait last minute to register. But I say that our government has a duty of care to Bahamian citizens, and we shouldn't have our Bahamian citizens frustrated in terms of attempting to register to vote. So the systems need to be updated. They need to do a SWOT analysis. There needs to be a SWOT analysis, find weaknesses of the system, and improve upon the system. Because I want everybody who are interested in registering to vote to go get registered to vote. And you can't be waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 hours to register. I can understand 1 hour. 1 hour is easy. And I'll even close my eyes to 2 hours. But after 2 hours, that means there's a problem. There's a problem that our government need to go and analyze and find what the problem is and rectify it. We're going to take this quick commercial break, and you can join me on the other side of the break. This is Guardian Radio AM with CA Newry. We shall be right back.
They'll call you in for your x-ray shortly.
That's why they call it a waiting room. You won't have that problem at 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor. We never schedule multiple appointments, so you'll be in and out in no time. And if your initial screening reveals a concern, our radiologist can conduct an alternative screening right then and there. Call 328-8157 to schedule an appointment at 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center or Imaging at Grosvenor today.
New roads and airports are connecting our islands. Energy reform is bringing electricity prices down, while young Bahamians are stepping up, gaining new skills for new opportunities. Respect for workers. Support for entrepreneurs. We're modernizing energy and infrastructure across our islands and preparing Bahamians to succeed in a new economy. Transformations this big take time. Let's choose progress. Paid for by the PLP.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Team Bahamas goes on the hunt for Carifta Gold once again. Join Star 106.5 and Guardian Radio 96.9 for daily live updates on the Carifta Swimming Championships in Martinique and the Carifta Track and Field Championships in St. George's, Grenada throughout the Easter holiday weekend. Carifta Gold, the Easter Showdown. Team Bahamas going for an 8th consecutive swimming title, and the track and field team looking to overthrow longtime champions Jamaica. Don't miss our live coverage every day of the 53rd Carifta Games on Star 106.5 and Guardian Radio 96.9. Carifta Gold. The hunt is on.
This is definitely the time for BAMSI to continue to build on the progress that we've made. There's now drone technology. There's now year-round container farming. You have hydroponics. You have aquaponics. You have precision farming. There have been record numbers of enrollments, record numbers of flat fishing certifications. We've had record enrollments in our online courses. Students from across the family of islands. Because in BAMSI, we are not just cultivating produce. We are cultivating producers.
Paid for by the PLP.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio AM. Let's run through this text line before I go to the callers. It says, "Good day, Cecil. If we had a fixed date for election, there will be no mad dash." See, there's a call again for a fixed date. And if by this texter, the Prime Minister had fault, all he got to do is fix the date and the problem of mad dash will be rectified. Say, C.A. Anton said Haiti is our ally and we should always help them. I think he said Cuba, but anyway, always help them. When has Haiti ever helped us in disaster? All Haiti welcomes is corruption, burden, and frustration, and their own rich billionaires won't help them. I know in the 1930s and 1940s, the Bahamas survived off of Haiti's produce. As part of our Bahamian history, we depended on the Haitian sloops coming with, because we was going through a huge recession. We were poor, bad. And we in the southern Bahamas depended on Haiti. So hopefully that helps you a bit in history. The Bahamas can't. So why we interfering with enemies of the U.S. and how dare the government propose to take our babies' monetization money? This government is truly the worst administration ever. They want no except, okay, that text is saying no help for Cuba, right? This text is saying there was no large lines at the voters registration booth, just that the system needs to be improved. Good day, good afternoon, CA. I recall on 2 occasions that Cuba, during the tenure of the ambassador Ismara Walters, assisted the Bahamas after the passage of hurricanes. One supply came in by air and another supply by a Cuban military ship. Assist Cuba, claro, right? Let's see. This next test say a fixed election day would fix this madness of long lines for registration, plain and simple. This next one said, please cut. Can you hear me? That is his way of stalling. They're talking cutting and torn just now. Let's go to the callers now. Garden Radio AM, you live?
Pleasant. Good morning, Mr. Newry. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Sparky. I'm reading from a document. The National Honors 2026 call for nominations. I just dropped some documents off to the Cabinet Office this morning. Back in 1958, a lady, the decrest from young men, asked the lady to go to her boss and get a sponsorship for them to start one of the biggest cultural events that occurs in the Western world called Junkanoo. One time it was called Taboo, evil and everything. Now it's one of the biggest cultural events in the Western end. This lady went to her boss, Mr. A.B. Malcolm, owner of Texaco Bay Street, and got a sponsorship and gave it to Gus Cooper. In 1958, Gus Cooper, in his father's garage, 10 Ridge Street East, the corner where you go to Bahamas, bus and truck off of Montreal Avenue, started the Valley Boys in December 1958. 68 years later, Gwendolyn Mercedes Joy, Men's Tender Fountain, has never been honored by this country yet, by Government House, by tourism, by Junkanoos. Gus Cooper said he was going to do it, but Gus Cooper got sick and passed away. Brian Adley said he was going to do it. He never did. Now Trevor Davis got all the information plus the big picture of Gwendolyn Mercedes Joy, Men's Tender Fountain. 68 years has never been honored by this country. That is my mother. 68 years. We just honored 500 people, and half of that 500 people, the Bahamian people, don't even know who they are. If you don't belong to a political group, a lodge, Elks or Masons, or some particular church, you will never be honored by your own people. They honor friends, families, and lovers. And I'm calling the Bahamians, they should be ashamed. My mother, Granny Fountain, has never been honored, and she started the Valley Boys. Have a good day.
Okay, good. I see the COI made an address to the nation. They was clarifying some stuff. What do you think about that? I see the government also had their conference for bloggers and content creators. What is your opinion on that? Is any new revelation on that? Let's get to the callers again before we go. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM, you're live. You're live, caller.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Go ahead. Oh, lose that call. Let's go to move. Go ahead, Guardian Radio AM.
Yes, good morning, CA. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen. I wasn't going to call, but I pressed the call. While I appreciate everything that Cleaver Duncombe stands for and what he has done, I'm trying to figure out if whether or not he want to be Bahamian or he prefer to be an American. You need to make that clear because it seems more obvious that he want to be an American, and that's an easy fix for him. But yes, some of the things are very objective. Some of them I could relate to, but for the most part, I want him to understand that the Bahamas have sovereignty. While sovereignty continue to be diminished, like I've said prior some years ago, and it will continue to be diminished. That's the reality, because we're going to be one global village where everything can be controlled by virtually a one world order. But in the meantime, I want him to understand that the Bahamas are still sovereign, right? As a part of the United Nations. And it has a government that has a right to make sure it's in the best interest of the majority of the people. And that's it.
Thanks very much, caller. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Let's go to the next caller there. Guardian Radio AM, you live.
Yeah, how you doing? We got disconnected.
Go ahead, sir.
I just found something very interesting. I don't know if you actually saw it. Do you know that there was a Russian tanker on its way to Cuba to deliver, fuel and whatnot to Cuba?
I heard it circulating.
Right. and that the whole talk was whether or not the President of the United States was going to allow the tanker to pass through.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that he not only allowed the tanker to pass through, but he's now saying that he supports any entity that is there to help the Cubans in relation to that. And you know who his big friend is, Mr. Putin. And everybody was saying, I wonder if he's going to allow this. And he actually is allowing the tanker with the oil and everything to go through. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it's just interesting, isn't it?
We don't want an international event. Imagine if the tanker was stopped and there were some casualties, then all of us involved.
I understand that. But when you think about the same things were being done through Venezuela, and anyone else was threatened to, you understand, not allow it to happen. And, it's just interesting. That's all I would say. It's just interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. This text says, would the fixed election day change the long lines if the registry closes based on dissolution of the House? We would need to know the dissolution period, or would that be automatic with a fixed date? Just a question for clarity. Then it says, Haiti helped us in 1930s and 40s. I'm sure by now we have paid them back through allowing them to educate, work, and utilize our health care at free to low cost. Okay. Clever is looking for brownie points from the United States. Okay, that's what the text says. Let's see what it says. Good morning, CA. Anton scared to speak out and talking with double tongue. Mia Motley voices her country's opinion eloquently and respectfully. The Bahamas government is soft and scared. They removed the Cuban doctors that we needed desperately for the survival of our people, and they should have been able to relay that information distinctly. Anyway, they scared so the health of the Bahamas suffer. I don't think our health of the Bahamas is suffering. It might be challenged, but not necessarily suffering. CA, you can't be serious. We are no doubt a third world country. There are so many things I could list to show you. Text me, list the things, please. Text me back and list all the things. I could list to show you in ain't nothing but third world. But I will ask you this. Can we feed ourselves? We are feeding ourselves, but we importing some stuff, just like how the United States imports stuff, or those other countries import stuff. Cuba, and not Cuba, China imports stuff. We really are a sovereign country when we have a British court as our highest court. Yes, there's many countries that has the British court as their sovereign, as the highest court. Most of the CARICOM, Commonwealth is the word I'm trying to look for. Commonwealth nations have that. And, of course, they are first world countries, right? Man, don't tell me you live under a rock, too. You have to compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges instead of cantaloupes. Let's go to the caller. Guardian Radio AM. This will be the last call, I think. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me? Caller, you there? You in there, caller? Let's go to the next line then. Caller, are you there? Caller, I see you change the lines. Go ahead, caller.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, missionary, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir. In terms of the political strategy that I perceive that the Prime Minister is using at this time to call this snap election, missionary, trust me. Yeah, I have been a Bahamian all my life, and I know Bahamians don't like to do things quick. All right, we procrastinate. And I can promise you this would be the lowest voters turnout in the whole history of elections in the Bahamas.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it'd be over 80% of the Bahamas would vote.
Because, first of all, we don't like the toll lines. We don't like the toll lines. And now that the election now is right there on the premises of the horizon, we're not going to tow any lines because the Prime Minister's election is going to be shortly after Easter. And this is the reason for a fixed date for election, so that people can get more prepared, so they have no excuses. But trust me, my brother, if you don't remember anything I say, when you see the polls are closed and the election results are given out, and the the stats is showed, this would be the lowest voters turnout, and this would work out in the PLP's benefit because this is part of their strategy. That's called a snap election. People get discouraged from towing long lines, and nobody registered to vote, and bang, that's their hopeful trump card. But maybe it may backfire. But one thing I'm saying is truth. This would be the lowest voters turnout in the whole history of election in Bahamas. Trust me.
I hear you,
That's a good thing.
Caller, this is the largest register we've ever had. And every day it increased exponentially. I think that this voters turnout would be at least 80%. I know we normally average about 90. I know we dropped down to 65, 67% during COVID because people were afraid to go on the COVID lines to vote. I think that there'll be a sharp increase. I think a number of Bahamians are eager to participate, either to ensure that the PLP remains in power or to get rid of the PLP and have the F&M come in power or to give the COI 1 or 2 seats. And we don't know yet. And we won't know until the bell is rung, the election date has come, and the people go out there to cast a vote and support to whatever party they see fit. It should be interesting to see who would be casualties at the end of this. Oh, I have 2 minutes. Let me see if I can squeeze this caller in, Kermit. I have 2 minutes, man. Go ahead, caller. Guardian Radio AM.
Good morning. Oh my God, Mr. Newry, how are you?
How you doing?
I was calling the reception, but since I'm on the line,
yes, you're live.
I do want to say that I was very pleased that somebody is mentioning Cuba. Cuba, who is under embargo for God knows what reason, except for wanting to stand on their own 2 feet, which is why we were created, right? And it seems to me something is wrong when you can impose your will on a country and not allow them to be who they want to be. They've done nothing but good. You know, they've fought for in South Africa. They have doctors. They're the ones who were able to, with their little embargo, invent a way for mothers to not transmit HIV to babies. These are major things. These aren't little things. And so I think the Bahamas and Bahamians, we should remember that what happens to Cuba could happen to any of us, and that it is not normal to starve people and make them miserable because you don't like them taking care of themselves.
I appreciate you, caller. And thanks very much for calling and being the last one to call in, too. We needed someone with sound information regarding that. I believe in voicing your opinion. We have a sovereign nation here. We have an articulate Minister of Foreign Affairs. Over the decades, the Bahamas has been lending their support of having free trade and lift the embargo against Cuba. I believe we need to continue to voice that concern and to champion them regarding that. And I believe we also need to be circumspect of what is happening around us. Anyway, this has been Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. Go and register. See how long it's taken. Report back to social media. Let's pressure the government to put more resources in to make sure that everything is streamlined and goes smoothly. Like I said, waiting an hour is okay. But waiting 3, 4, 5 hours, that's ridiculous. And only the government can be accountable for that. And we have to pressure them to make sure that they fix it. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. There's a holiday this Friday and a holiday next week, Monday. And I shan't be here. I should be Anglican in and on the beach with St. Matthew's Church, I think, on Monday. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.